Eli Parker woke up every morning feeling heavy inside, as if a dark cloud hung over him. He lived in a small town called Maplewood, where everybody knew everyone. In his cozy apartment, Eli often stared at the same four walls, afraid to step outside and take chances. Self-doubt whispered in his ears, telling him he wasn't good enough, smart enough, or brave enough. He worked as a receptionist at a local doctor's office, a job he took because it felt safe, even though he longed to be a writer. Every day at work was the same. When someone praised him, he brushed it off, thinking they were just being nice. His co-workers would chat excitedly about their weekend plans, but Eli felt different, like an outsider. He often thought about going to open mic nights or starting a blog, but the fear of failure held him back. In his quiet moments, maybe while sipping a cup of tea, Eli reflected on his dreams and his potential. Despite wanting to change, he felt stuck in a loop of negativity. Each unspoken word and unsent story swirled around him like leaves in the wind, leaving him restless. Deep down, he knew he had a spark waiting to ignite but didn't know how to light the flame. One chilly evening, Eli sat on his worn-out couch, scrolling through social media. He usually didn't bother much with it, but today, he felt a strange pull to keep going. As he swiped up, a video caught his eye. The person in the video was a young woman named Mia, speaking passionately about self-discovery and courage. Her smile was bright, and her voice was full of energy. Eli couldn't help but watch. Mia shared how she had once felt just like Eli, full of self-doubt and fear. She described how she began to shift her thinking by focusing on her purpose. She talked about setting small goals each day that brought her joy and made her feel powerful. As she spoke, Eli felt a spark of hope flicker inside him. He leaned closer to the screen, his heart racing at the possibility of change. "Everyone has a purpose," Mia said warmly. "It's never too late to find yours." Her words echoed in his mind like a soft drumbeat. He had never thought of his daily job or dreams in these terms. Eli often believed his purpose was hidden, waiting for a special moment to reveal itself. But what if it was already within him, buried under layers of doubt? After the video finished, Eli felt a mix of inspiration and fear. Could he really change his life? He remained on the couch, feeling the heaviness of his old beliefs start to lift, just a little. He picked up a notebook that he usually kept by his side but seldom opened. This time, he flipped it open and stared at the blank pages. "What if I start small?" he thought, the idea planting a seed of determination. He grabbed a pen and wrote at the top of the page, "My purpose." Underneath, he began to jot down feelings, fears, and dreams. He wrote about his longing to write stories and connect with people through words. This felt like a small step, but it filled him with a strange mix of excitement and anxiety. As days passed, he found himself thinking about Mia's words often. He set small goals for himself each morning. Maybe it was writing just one paragraph or reading a few pages of a book that inspired him. Just these little actions kept adding up. On some days, he felt proud and excited. Other days, he battled with a heavy wave of self-doubt, telling him, "What if you fail again?" Still, he held on to the warmth Mia's video had given him. One Saturday, Eli decided to visit the local library. As he walked in, he was amazed at how vibrant and alive it felt. The shelves were filled with books, stories waiting for him to explore. Being surrounded by so many stories inspired him, and he felt like he finally belonged. He wondered if perhaps some of these authors had traveled similar paths, facing their own fears before stepping into the light. Sitting in the library, he picked up a novel and began to read. The letters danced across the pages, filling him with ideas and hope. In that moment, Eli began to realize that self-doubt was a common struggle. He was not alone. This journey would not be easy, and there would be days filled with both fear and hope, but he understood there was room for change. Right then, he promised himself he would keep pushing forward, one small step at a time, toward finding his purpose. Eli spent a week thinking about Mia's video and the promise he made to himself. The thought of stepping out of his comfort zone felt mighty terrifying, but he knew he had to begin somehow. One evening, while sipping herbal tea, he gathered his courage and opened his laptop. After searching for local classes, he stumbled upon an advertisement for a public speaking course starting soon. His fingers hovered over the keyboard as doubts flooded his mind. What if I embarrass myself? What if no one listens? But then he remembered how Mia spoke about taking small steps and pushing through fear. Taking a deep breath, he clicked the registration button. His heart raced as a confirmation message appeared on the screen. He had signed up. It felt strange, both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. The next day, walking into that classroom filled him with anticipation and a touch of regret. Eli looked around and saw others who seemed just as nervous as he was. As the instructor introduced herself warmly, Eli could feel the tension in his chest tightening. The first exercise involved sharing why they joined the class. Anxiety buzzed around him. When it was his turn, Eli opened his mouth, but no words came out at first. A thick silence hung in the air as self-doubt whispered, "No one cares about what you have to say." Taking a moment, Eli reminded himself of the little goals he had been practicing. Speak from your heart, he thought. Slowly, he began to share that he wanted to gain confidence to pursue his writing dreams. To his surprise, the class listened intently. A few classmates even nodded in understanding, and when he finished, they responded with encouraging words. The warmth in their smiles flicked a spark of pride through Eli. He had faced his fear and shared his dream. Over the following weeks, each class became a little easier. Sometimes the anxiety crept back in, especially when he had to present a small speech. But Eli started to notice the feelings of self-doubt slowly becoming quieter. Each time he completed a presentation, he celebrated small wins. He would treat himself to his favorite dessert or take a leisurely walk in the park. Every little gesture of praise boosted his confidence and made him realize he was capable of more than he had believed. One evening, while preparing for a speech on a famous author, Eli dove deeper into his research. He spent hours reading, excited by the stories and words he discovered. When his turn came to speak, he felt nervous, but also ready. This time, as he spoke, the words flowed easily. With each point he made about the author's life and struggles, a sense of excitement bubbled up inside. When he finished, the room filled with thoughtful applause. Those moments ignited something within him, igniting a growing warmth and confidence. Eli felt proud not just for that speech but for continuing to push against the barriers of his self-doubt. He knew this was just the beginning. These small victories were like stepping stones across a vast river of potential. Each time he made it to the other side, he felt that familiar spark igniting into a more vibrant flame. The taste of success felt sweet, and for the first time, he could see the path ahead clearer. One sunny afternoon, as Eli wrapped up his public speaking class, the instructor shared exciting news. The annual Maplewood Community Fair was coming soon, and they were looking for speakers to inspire and motivate the audience. A familiar wave of anxiety hit Eli's stomach at the thought of speaking in front of a large crowd. But then came the moment of a lifetime. He was encouraged to apply. His heart raced as he thought about how this could be a chance to share his story and connect with the community. It was an opportunity he always dreamed of but had never believed he could grasp. The closer the fair approached, the more vivid the feelings of excitement mixed with fear became. Eli sat up late at night, staring at the blank page on his computer. He wanted to craft a powerful story but felt his usual self-doubt creep back in. What if I forget my words? The thought echoed in his mind like an unwanted song. Eli imagined the possible scenarios, like all eyes on him and the feeling of silence overwhelming him. Sweat trickled down his back as he envisioned standing on stage, his words failing him. Deep down, he worried that maybe he wasn't ready for such a big challenge. As days went by, Eli couldn't shake the nervous feelings swirling inside him. He stood in front of the mirror, practicing his speech. He spoke about his journey, from battling self-doubt to discovering his purpose. But gazing at himself, all he could see were flaws and insecurities. The mirror became a reminder of how far he'd come, but also of how far he thought he still had to go. Each attempted practice session ended in frustration, his heart heavy with doubt. Eli's friends noticed the change in him. They could see he was torn between excitement and fear. One afternoon, his compassionate friend Sarah took him for coffee. "Eli, you have to believe in what you've worked for. You've come such a long way. Remember how you felt sharing your story in class?" she reminded him. Her encouraging words touched him, but the fear remained. That night, as he lay in bed, Eli took a moment to reflect. He closed his eyes and recalled all the small wins, the speeches he had delivered, the moments he had shared. Those little victories bubbled up within him, growing into a comforting warmth. But as soon as he thought of the fair, doubt flooded back. What if no one cares about what I have to say? He questioned. With the event just days away, Eli faced an emotional storm. He wanted to run away from it all and go back to the safety of his routine life as a receptionist. But just when he thought he might give in, a glimmer of resilience sparked within him. He remembered how courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward in the face of it. On the day of the community fair, Eli stood backstage, with his palms sweaty and heart racing. He could hear the buzz of the crowd through the curtains. Just as he was about to step away, a small voice whispered inside him, "You've got this." In that moment, everything came alive, the anticipation, the hope, the possibility for change. It was a big challenge standing in front of him, but Eli was ready to take a deep breath and face his fear. He knew this could be the turning point in his journey, and the stakes were higher than ever. Eli stood behind the stage curtain, listening to the crowd murmur with excitement. His heart pounded in rhythm with his racing thoughts. "This is it," he whispered to himself, feeling every nerve in his body come alive. The applause from the audience made his cheeks tingle. Doubt swirled within him like leaves caught in a fierce wind. What if I trip on stage? What if they don't connect with my story? But deep down, he felt a flicker of determination shining through the fog of fear. As the person before him concluded their speech, Eli felt a rush of emotion bubble up inside. This was not just a speech, it was a chance to share who he truly was, to give voice to a part of himself that had long been hidden. "Remember why you are doing this," he muttered quietly, envisioning every little victory he had experienced along the way. He thought of Mia's words about purpose and how sharing his journey could inspire others striving against their own doubts. When the crowd erupted into applause, Eli found himself standing at the edge of the stage. The spotlight seemed bright enough to burn through his nerves, yet it also provided warmth and clarity. He took a deep breath, the air filling his lungs with both fear and exhilaration. With each step forward, the sound of his heartbeat softened, replaced by a quiet resolution. On stage, his knees felt weak, but he stood tall. As he began to speak, he drew on the lessons he had learned in his classes and the little goals he had set each day. "Hi, I'm Eli," he started, and the microphone seemed to resonate with his voice, echoing his energy. "Today I want to share my journey of overcoming self-doubt." The words flowed from him a little hesitant at first. The crowd leaned in closer, attentive and encouraging. Eli could see a few faces smiling back at him, and it reminded him they were there to support him. He spoke about the darkness of self-doubt that had held him back and how he refused to let it define him any longer. The more he talked, the more he connected with his audience, each breath deepening his confidence. Then he shared a pivotal moment from his life, where he had to choose to step outside his comfort zone. He recounted his first public speaking class, recalling how scared he had felt, yet how he grew stronger with each moment he faced his fears. As he shared this, Eli noticed a collective flicker of understanding in the audience's eyes. He had turned his vulnerability into a source of strength, a fire ignited within him, drowning out the self-doubt. Eli smiled, feeling more grounded with each word that flowed from his heart. He talked about setting small goals, giving oneself a chance to succeed, and not being afraid to stumble along the way. His message transcended fear, it became an anthem of hope and possibility. As Eli reached the end of his speech, he felt lighter, as if offloading a heavy burden. The crowd erupted into applause, a wave of sound washing over him. In those moments, he realized something significant: fear is a part of life, but it doesn't have to control him. Instead, it can become a catalyst for growth. As he looked out into the sea of smiling faces, something shifted in him. In that captivating moment, he discovered the power of facing one's fears, and with that realization, a new chapter of his journey began. As Eli stepped off the stage, the roaring applause still danced in his ears. He could hardly believe it, he had done it. The weight that had rested heavily on his shoulders lifted, replaced by an exhilarating rush of joy. Dreaming about this moment had felt surreal, but now it was real. Eli's heart fluttered as he made his way through the crowd, where generous smiles greeted him. Some people reached out, shaking his hand or patting his back in approval. "Great job, Eli," a voice from the audience called out. "You were inspiring." He felt warmth spread through him. Each compliment was like a comforting affirmation, pushing aside the last fragments of doubt that had lingered in the back of his mind. It was as if he had given himself permission to embrace who he was meant to be, not who he thought he should be. Returning to his seat, adrenaline pulsed through Eli. He looked around at the community around him, all standing together in support. This one speech had turned into something much greater. During the weeks that followed, Eli found conversations with people he had never met before. They shared their own stories of challenges, and he listened, eager to connect. There was an undeniable shift in his heart. Eli felt lighter, more at ease with himself. The thoughts that had once held him captive transformed into whispers of encouragement. I can share my story, and it matters, he told himself each day. The decision to speak up had unleashed parts of him he was only beginning to discover. Feeling inspired, Eli took further action. He started writing a blog to share his journey, writing about moments of both fear and growth. At first, he hesitated again, uncertainty creeping in. However, he remembered those smiles from the audience and the powerful applause after his speech. With courage sparked anew, he pressed the publish button. As weeks turned into months, the blog began to gain a small following. Readers found comfort and inspiration in his simple words. Each comment from someone thanking him made Eli's heart swell with gratitude. He had forged a connection, helping others navigate their own journeys of self-doubt. With each new post, Eli grew braver, extending himself beyond the comforts of his routine. He signed up for another public speaking event and even joined a local writers group. The experiences molded him, teaching him that resilience was built over time and with practice. Each small step he took built confidence brick by brick. He recalled Brady's every goal he set, every challenge he faced, and every fear he conquered. Most importantly, Eli learned to embrace setbacks without shame. Not everything he tried went perfectly, and that was okay too. Mistakes became opportunities for growth rather than reasons to retreat. The journey was ongoing, yet he was learning to treasure every step forward, no matter how small. This colorful transformation reflected a powerful truth in Eli's life: success wasn't about the absence of fear, it was about acting in spite of it. In each act of courage he embraced, he discovered more of himself. As his mindset shifted, he felt the sturdy roots of resilience growing deeper. This was not merely a turning point, it was a fresh beginning. Here, Eli felt fully alive, ready for whatever came next. In the weeks following his speech at the Maplewood Community Fair, Eli found himself in a whirlwind of new experiences. Each day felt vibrant with possibility, yet there were moments when insecurity would sneak back into the shadows, whispering reminders of old fears. But instead of allowing those feelings to dominate him, Eli faced them head-on, armed with a fresh perspective that spoke to the growth he already achieved. He started each morning with a small ritual of reflection. After brewing his coffee, he would sit at his kitchen table, jotting down his thoughts in a journal. "What have I learned?" he wrote one morning, practicing gratitude for the steps he had embraced since the fair. Each entry became a mixture of successes, challenges, fears, and hopes. Eli looked at how far he had come, and that encouraged him to keep moving forward. As he continued to develop his blog, new topics began to emerge, inspired by the messages he received. He wrote about resilience, finding comfort in sharing lessons learned during his public speaking journey. Mondays became his dedicated writing days, where he could let his creativity flow without limits. This habit nurtured his confidence and created a sense of routine that he had yearned for in the past. Seeing his thoughts take form on the page became a powerful reminder of his evolving voice. Alongside writing, Eli remained dedicated to his speaking events. Each engagement allowed him to explore uncharted territory while developing connections within the community. There were times when his hands trembled with nerves before he took the stage, but he held fast to his newfound belief. This was his moment, an opportunity to grow. His friends and family noticed the shifts in him too. Conversations turned deeper and more meaningful. They reported how his enthusiasm was infectious. "You always push yourself, Eli. It's inspiring to be around you," his best friend remarked one day. Those words resonated profoundly, reinforcing his belief in the positive impact he could have on others. At work, Eli's newfound confidence spilled into his everyday tasks as a receptionist. He began to engage with patients more openly, ready to share inspiring messages with them. Encouraging a patient who felt anxious about visiting the doctor became a time to practice kindness and facilitate healing. The sense of connection rekindled other positive feelings in him, replacing the doubts that once clouded his thoughts. But with the post-speech change came new challenges too. Sometimes, the weight of self-expectation felt heavy on his shoulders. He would remind himself, growth isn't a straight path. It's okay to feel uncertain. Reassuring himself in these moments helped him maintain a steady focus, allowing him to balance ambition with compassion for his journey. One rainy afternoon, Eli sat at home, listening to the sound of raindrops tapping on the window. He reflected on his past struggles, the many moments he had let fear paralyze him. Yet, here he was, confident and evolving in ways he hadn't imagined possible. Feeling physically lighter as if he had shed layers of doubt, Eli savored these moments of clarity. The power of belief and the practice of resilience transformed his life. He recognized that while challenges ahead were inevitable, he embodied the strength to face them. In time, Eli came to understand that these moments, both difficult and wonderful, shaped him. Each day brought the promise of occurrence. No matter what lay ahead, he knew he had the tools to navigate the complexities of life, confident in the person he was becoming. As he observed the world outside, brighter and more colorful than before, Eli felt a genuine sense of excitement for the journey ahead. Eli began to feel the weight of his experiences transforming once again. With his newfound confidence solidifying, he realized it was time to share the knowledge he had gained about self-improvement. Inspired by the community that had supported him, he wanted to create a space where others could find encouragement as he had. The idea of starting a YouTube channel had been in his mind for weeks. At first, the annoying strain of self-doubt tried to crush his excitement, whispering, "What if no one watches?" But he remembered the feeling of connection when sharing his story at the fair and the joy of writing his blog. That sparked more motivation than fear ever could. With every step, he leaned into his purpose, to uplift others by sharing the lessons he learned. Eli spent days thinking about the first video he would create. He carefully wrote an outline, focusing on topics that mattered to him: overcoming self-doubt, setting small goals, and the journey of self-discovery. He wanted viewers to see his genuine side, the way he struggled, and the breakthroughs he had achieved. The more he wrote, the more his excitement grew. He set aside a weekend to record his first video in front of a clean backdrop in his apartment, the light illuminating his eager face. As he pressed record, a wave of nerves washed over him, but he took a deep breath and spoke from the heart. He shared his journey of growth, how he rose from feelings of inadequacy to newfound empowerment. Hearing his own voice on the screen made it clear how far he had come. Eli encouraged viewers to take small steps in their lives, just as he had done. He ended the video with a call to action: remember, you are not alone. We all have the ability to grow and inspire each other. After posting the video, Eli's heart raced with anticipation. He didn't know how people would respond. A few days later, comments began to surface. Viewers praised his courage, and many shared their own stories of struggle. "Thank you for reminding me that it's okay to feel scared," one viewer wrote. Another said, "You've inspired me to take that first step." Eli felt warmth swell in his chest. This was why he had wanted to create the channel: to connect, support, and uplift. Feeling emboldened by the positive feedback, Eli sought additional opportunities to help others in his community. He reached out to a local youth organization, offering to mentor young people navigating their own challenges with self-esteem. Meeting with them each week felt fulfilling. He shared the strategies that had helped him face his fears, guiding them to identify their strengths and encouraging them to pursue their dreams. In mentoring sessions, Eli grew alongside his mentees. He witnessed their transformation, and through their journeys, he gained fresh insights into his own. Their hesitations mirrored the doubts he once felt, making it easier for him to empathize. Seeing their progress ignited a flame of hope. It lifted him further along his journey, validating that sharing his story was indeed making a difference. Eli took pride in his growth. Reflecting on those early days of self-doubt felt surreal. He saw himself not as someone who merely struggled but as a beacon of possibility. Each interaction, whether through video or personal mentoring, allowed him to integrate the lessons he'd learned into an exciting new purpose. Helping others became a cycle of positivity, creating a ripple effect within the community. As autumn came alive with vibrant leaves, Eli felt fulfilled and energized. The power to inspire was no longer abstract but embedded deeply in the core of who he was. With every story shared and encouragement offered, he realized his life had come full circle. What once felt so far out of reach now flowed through him with ease. Eli was growing, and he knew there were countless opportunities ahead to make an impact. The journey of self-discovery felt like a continuous adventure, one where he would always strive to lift others while savoring his own path. As the leaves began to change colors outside, Eli found himself reflecting on how his life had transformed since that pivotal moment at the Maplewood Community Fair. He stood at his kitchen window, sipping tea, and watched as the world moved outside. The once familiar feelings of doubt had faded, replaced by a steady sense of confidence. Each challenge he confronted now felt like an opportunity waiting to be explored, not a fear to be avoided. His journey into mentoring and sharing his story had blossomed into something beautiful. Eli often recorded videos, reflecting on various life lessons. With each post that went live, he could feel the excitement of making an impact on others' lives. Positive comments filled his inbox, affirming that he was indeed encouraging people to chase their dreams. This feedback lit a fire of passion and purpose within him, ensuring that he would continue to grow while inspiring others every step of the way. At work, the transformation was palpable. Eli engaged more openly with the patients who walked through the door, addressing their fears and uncertainties with warmth. He offered assurance where he could and shared simple strategies for overcoming anxiety, drawn from his own experiences. The connections he forged with presence cultivated an uplifting atmosphere that rippled throughout the clinic. Colleagues noticed his infectious energy and often sought his advice on how to approach challenges with a mindful and positive mindset. One day, he gathered his co-workers for an informal lunch to discuss personal growth techniques. He wanted to create a space where everyone could feel okay about sharing their struggles and triumphs. Sitting around a large table, they engaged in open discussion about fear and overcoming obstacles together. Eli could see the impact of this connection flourish in the room, and it warmed his heart to know he had helped foster an atmosphere of support and growth. Reflecting on the past year, Eli pondered how he had emerged from his shell. No longer held back by crippling self-doubt, he embraced the uncertainties of life. He recognized that personal growth is a lifelong journey, one that flows and evolves. There would undoubtedly be more challenges to face, but Eli understood he now had the tools to navigate them. He had discovered the importance of self-compassion during this journey. Embracing one's imperfections became part of the learning process, leading to greater resilience. The setbacks he encountered became moments of insight rather than sources of embarrassment. Each time he stumbled, he would summon the courage to find the lesson hidden within. In conversations with friends, Eli began to share not only his successes but also the importance of vulnerability. "It's okay to feel lost sometimes," he would tell them, "what matters is how we respond to it." He became determined to create a community built on mutual understanding and support. This mission filled him with purpose and excitement, keeping him driven. As the sun began to set on another beautiful day, Eli felt anchored in a new narrative of his life. He knew he had the power to shape his future. Acknowledging that learning and growing never truly ends, Eli faced tomorrow with a heart full of hope. Every interaction with others, every word he shared, carried significance and meaning. He felt empowered in ways he had never imagined possible, knowing that he could make a positive difference in the lives of others while continuing to cultivate his own journey of personal growth. The journey ahead was bright and filled with possibility, and Eli was ready to embrace whatever came next, confidently stepping into the unknown with a spirit of adventure and optimism.